going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm actually going to do a couple videos on, I'll actually probably do them back to back. I'm just going to kind of knock them out. The reason why I'm doing two videos, though, is because two separate topics. I mean, I thought about maybe combining them, but I was like, I'd kind of rather just leave them into two separate topics. So the two topics, though, will be a preview for the Jets game on Friday, Black Friday. And then this video is going to be just a quick recap of Hard Knocks episode 1 for the in-season Miami Dolphins series. So let's just go ahead and jump right into that. Let me start off by saying that I actually really fucking loved it. It got me pumped, man. It got me excited. As far as I'm concerned, because see, the thing is, you know, a lot of people worry that it could be a distraction, but I just don't think so because, first of all, I mean, you know, in this day and age, there are always tons of cameras and media and stuff around anyway for all kinds of reasons outside of this, so they're used to it, plus social media and everything. It's not like these players are unfamiliar with being, you know, in the spotlight or being watched or blah, 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 right? So when they're doing their stuff. Now with Hard Knocks, I mean, it does get a little bit more invasive, obviously, you know, because we saw in this episode they went into Tyreek Hill's home, so they will go into the homes of players and stuff like that. But obviously they have to get permission to do so, right? Like, it's not like they're just going to barge into people's houses without their permission. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure Tua's not going to let them into his home. So I wouldn't expect to see anything of that, although you never know, you know, depending on how the season goes and whatever, maybe he will at some point. But I would expect to see more of players like Tyreek if it's going to be the, you know, real personal stuff. But he's fine with that. He loves being in the fucking limelight. So I don't think it's an issue from that standpoint. And I think Mike McDaniel will keep these guys locked in. And that's actually a great segue into the actual content of this first episode, because it does kind of start off with Mike McDaniel, you know, giving them a speech. It actually starts off with him talking about how, you know, he's not, just because, you know, Hard Knock. By the way, the Miami Dolphins have a lot of creative control over this, and they're not going to allow things to be put out there that are going to make the team look bad. They have a say in that. So that's another thing people should not worry about when it comes to Hard Knocks is I wouldn't expect, right, and because there is also the other aspect of Hard Knocks tends to have teams that are going through a rough time on. This is different because they're actually picked a good team. And they actually picked a team that's going to not only make it to the playoffs, they're going to win the division, and I think they're going to have a relatively deep run. I think that they can and will make it to the Super Bowl. It's going to be a tough road for sure, and they definitely got to prove that they can not only beat tough teams, but beat tough teams on the road. But if we, you know, just as a quick side note, if we do happen to, you know, go undefeated the rest of the season, which I think is absolutely possible, I think it's guaranteed through the next 4. I think the Dallas game is going to be tough, but we're going to get that win. I think the Buffalo Bills will play us relatively tough, but we're going to get that win down in Miami. The only one I have, you know, any questions about are that Baltimore game, right? So, but anyway, my point is if they can pull that out and end up 14-3, then before they even get to the postseason, they can dead a lot of that. Right? They can dead the narrative that they can't beat good teams. I think they're going to do that regardless because, like I said, I think that they will beat Dallas and Buffalo. They can also dispel the narrative that they can't beat a good team on the road if they can manage to beat Baltimore. So all of that can happen by the time we even get to the postseason. And then, of course, having a 14-3 record, you know, blowing out the division because we'll have, you know, locked that shit up by most likely Christmas if the Bills lose their next 2 games and the Dolphins obviously take care of business. But anyway, my point though is that this is actually a good team, and for, you know, I think that's part of the reason why they decided to feature the Dolphins, because they want to see, because they said as far as the Dolphins go, right? That's part of it, as far as the Dolphins go. So, you know, and we expect to make it into the postseason. You know, some of the commentary and debate is how far can we go? That remains to be seen, but they will be following us into the postseason. So I don't expect it to be a distraction or a problem or any of that stuff. I think they're going to be locked in, honed in, and take care of business. And it started off with, Mike McDaniel basically saying that kind of stuff. Look, it doesn't matter. We're going to stay locked in, but we're also going to stay genuine to ourselves, and we're not going to change. We're not going to be, faking who we are. We're going to be who we are. And that's all there is to it, right? Now, part of what I love about this, though, is it does give you some insights into the team and the personalities, man. Because I love Mike McDaniel. Every time, look, I get it. He can be a little long-winded in his explanations. I understand that because I'm the same way. And I'm the same way for the same reasons. The reasons why he does that and the reasons why I'll do it sometimes is because I like to be very cerebral. I like to think about the things that I'm saying. I like to be thoughtful in my thought process, right? I like to be honest. I like to be facts-based, right? So, there are natural hesitations for all kinds of reasons, but for me and for him, that's one of the big ones is we like to make sure that we're thorough, that we're fact-based, and that we're accurate too in how we articulate things, right? So all of that stuff is very important to me. It's very important to him. And that's one of the reasons why I really love him as a head coach. He's also, and I think this will also show it a lot throughout the season. He's a great leader of men. He really connects with his guys. He's a player's coach, right? In a lot of ways, but he's also about business and make sure to keep them on track. So it's great. And so that's how the episode started. There was also a really, curse word laden. Well, Mike McDaniel cursed a lot too, but Anthony Campanile, the linebackers coach, he gave a really spirited speech that I thought was amazing. That was full of, F-bombs and fuck yous and fuck this and fuck the world and shit like that, right? And I love it. I love it because personally, I think people, especially in this day and age, and especially grown-ass fucking adults, are way too sensitive about curse words, right? Like, first and foremost, I think people get too sensitive over words in general, like curse words or being called names and stuff like that. When you get into things like racial slurs, that's obviously a little bit different. The context there is different. The tone, the intent of those kinds of words are different. Right? Like the N-word, for example, or, other racial slurs. I'm not going to say any of them, but I got, I'm sure you guys know, like, I'm Italian and WAP or Guinea. Those are, I'll use those because I'm Italian and it's less racist, I guess, whatever. I don't know. But my point is you get the point, right? Those have a different context and tone to them. So that's different. But like curse words, it just blows my mind that grown adults, adult humans, get so bent out of shape over curse words. Like, grow the fuck up. Like, seriously, grow the fuck up. Quit being fucking children. You're grown-ass fucking humans. Deal with it. If you can't handle curse words, I'm sorry, but that is just fucking petty and childish. And even in the world today that we live in, most kids ain't even like that. So it's and obviously those are remnants of an old world, a fucking, an old time and shit like that. Like, I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't get to be around my grandparents or my family all that much growing up, but, I had to watch my cursing around my grandmother and stuff like that, which it's supposed to be a respect thing, and I get that, and that's all well and good. But grown-ass adults don't need to be getting fucking offended or butthurt over curse words or really fucking words in general. But anyway, I digress, and it is what it is. Point is, I love it because it's real and it's genuine. And frankly, the F word, the word fuck is the most diverse word in the fucking English language. You can use it literally anytime, anywhere, in any context, for any reason, with any tone on it. It's the most amazing, most flexible, most diverse word in the world, and it can be used in all kinds of positive lights and not just negative. So motherfuckers need to get over that shit, need to grow up and just fucking deal with it, because I think it's awesome. Also, let's recognize that this is football. It's a violent sport. It's a bunch of, testosterone driven dudes and all that shit, right? So of course there's going to be cursing. Anyway, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's phenomenal. But the speeches, the tones of those speeches too, Anthony Campanile, he was talking about, he started his speech off with the Lombardi quote about, I'm paraphrasing here, but, if somebody, came up and stole all your possessions and your friends and family and everything you loved, if they stole that from you, you would do anything in your power to stop that person, right? You would chase him down and you would stop that person, right? And, then he goes on talking about like love and, you do this for the people that you love and family. And this is, your football family, basically. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was great, and I love those things. And then of course it also gets into some other behind the scenes stuff. Like you get to go into, the, some of the meeting rooms. You get to see a little bit more of the players' personalities. You get to see Cornrow Tua. He explains why he did it. He also gets really excited about their Secret Santa thing that they're doing, which was really fun and cute. And, I thought it was fun. I liked it. What else? Obviously there was stuff too about, the game prep, leading up to the Raiders game. They highlighted Max Crosby a lot, so that's probably going to be something that you see week in and week out. They'll probably highlight some of, so this next week, it might be somebody like Sauce Gardner that they game plan for or whatever, right? Because that was part of it, is they showed a little bit of the game planning for the upcoming Raiders week. And it showed how, now, on one hand you could, but that was after the game, so it doesn't even matter, right? Like Hard Knocks came out. I was going to say some people might worry that stuff like that being in Hard Knocks, can tip the hand to the other team and be a competitive advantage, but not really, because that obviously all comes out after the game is played, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, I think it's fun and I think it's cool, and they go in and they talk about Max Crosby and give a lot of respect to him. There's a lot of banter back and forth. There was also the scene about how in practice, I don't know, is it Cameron Bell? I can't remember the dude's first name, practice squad player. They had one of our practice squad players simulate him in practice. And what I mean by that is that Max Crosby likes to be a really touchy-feely. Even when, the play's ending, he likes to still give little pushes and little fucking taps and grabs and stuff like that, just to let the quarterback know, hey, I'm here, I'm around, I'm always around, right, kind of thing. And so they had Bell simulate that. And I love Tua, man. He's such a sweet guy. I love Salty Tua, too. He's got, obviously different sides to him, but he's genuinely a very sweet guy, and I love that. I respect that. And you see that, like, he goes around thanking, he thanks Bell for all the simulation so he can get prepped and ready for this game, because that's why they were doing it, right? After the game, he goes around, he thanks the defensive players in the locker room. That was another major scene after the game, right? And they did, some bits and portions of the game too, of course. But after the game, he goes around thanking the defensive players for keeping them in it and getting stops after they turn the ball over and stuff like that, right? He goes around to the offensive players and he's like, hey, look, I got to be better. That's on me. I got to be better, right? And that's what you love to see out of your quarterback and out of a leader in that locker room, bro. Like, he's amazing. He's QB1. He's him. He's great. And I love to see it, man. And this team, honestly, after everything that they've been through, and look, I got to give it to him, man. Stephen Ross, I got to give it. I mean, he was in obviously he was in Hard Knocks at the end. You saw Tyreek Hill talking to Stephen Ross and stuff like that, introducing him to his family. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but because there was a lot in this. But I got to give it to him, man. He finally made the right decisions. He finally got the right people in place, and he's turned this organization around. I got to hand it to him, man. And look, I've always given him credit for spending money. I've never given him shit for that. He's always gotten credit. He's always, been good at giving whatever resources to this team they need. I've given him credit as being the only owner in the NFL that believes, as a billionaire, he should pay for the stadium. Now, I have my gripes against him when it comes to like political things. I'm not, I'm not such a fan of him being a Trump supporter and those sorts of things. It's not surprising since he's a billionaire, but that has nothing to do with football, so I don't care about that when it comes to football conversations. But when it comes to football conversations in the past, he was great in the community, great with community service, great with building the stadium, great with giving resources to the team. The one thing he was never great at was getting the right people in place and making the right football decisions. Finally, he has, and it's fucking amazing, right? With Mike McDaniel and with his coaching staff that has been built, and bringing in Vic Fangio this season, and trading for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey and all these different things, right? So finally, I love it, I love it, I love it. And then segueing over to, the Tyreek Hill element, obviously, because I want to touch on a couple other things that happened in this. Obviously, they touched on Tyreek Hill getting married. They, went into his personal life a little bit and got into his home. They also did, they showed a little bit of the offensive linemen's dinner that they do every week, every Thursday, I believe it is. They also showed, a lot of, or a decent amount of Keita Vaccaro Hill, because obviously that's Tyreek's wife. They just got married. It's also the sister of Kenny Vaccaro, the safety. I don't know that he's playing anymore, actually. I think he may be retired at this point. If I remember, I think he's a former NFL safety now. But everybody knows Kenny Vaccaro, obviously. So that's Kenny Vaccaro's sister. Obviously, she's super hot and all that good stuff. Not surprising there. But, she's also, I think, they mentioned she's doing her real estate's license. They got a lot of things going on, that they're planning for after Tyreek Hill's football career and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. There was also the, Tyreek Hill's mom. You got to see her a bit, which was fun. She's a fun, exciting person. And there was the scene, by the way, she was totally at fault. Let's be clear here. That was Keita's fault 100, bro. She totally knocked dude's nachos. She was actually lucky she didn't knock dude's beer. Now, I mean, it was an accident, right? Like, she didn't do it on purpose, of course. When I say that she was at fault, I don't mean it like that. It's not like it was malicious. She was just like yawning or stretching, or she was like stretching, right? She reaches up. The dude was standing behind her. She accidentally like hits dude's it's like a, those little paper like God damn it. They're like not paper. They're like, or whatever. I guess they're paper, but they're the little fucking paper rectangle shaped, containers that you get at fucking games, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, damn it. His fucking nachos were in. Anyway, she hits that shit, knocks it down, gets all over and shit like that, whatever. And they showed that scene. She was totally at fault. It was totally her fault. Anyway, but it was just a funny scene. She gets it all on her and whatever. And she laughs it off, and dude starts apologizing and blah, 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 all that stuff. So that was a funny scene. It was good. But, this kind of stuff is fun to see. Oh, also, they did do the scene of the cakes, the defense that they give out cakes for, performers when they get things like sacks or interceptions or, whatever, that sort of thing. So they talked about that a little bit. Yeah, man. I think that's about it. Honestly, I don't think there was much more. There was the speeches. You get all that, behind the scenes stuff there was, obviously there was a good portion of like practice that, some of the practice they showed going through the week. And that's where, they showed Bell simulating Max Crosby and the things he does. It was great, man. I loved it, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to see each episode every week, because I think it's going to be fun chronicling the Dolphins' journey. The Dolphins' journey throughout the second half of the season, especially because I believe that the season is special, and it is going to be different. And I think, by the way, I got this ring. It's a Miami Dolphins. It's hard to see. Hold on. It's a Miami Dolphins ring. It's actually supposed to be a wedding ring. Technically, it's a tungsten ring, but I got it because it was really cool. It's hard to see. There's a little Dolphins logo with a couple little, it's red, this stripe around it's red, but I had an inscription. You can't really see it all that well, but it says Dolphins Dynasty on it. Dolphins Dynasty. Because look, bro, I think this is the start of the Dolphins Dynasty, man. And I believe that because not just the players and stuff, but they really, it's why I gave Stephen Ross credit, because I think he's really got this organization finally where it needs to be, through and through. The front office, the coaching staff, etc. So I think they're building something special, and I think it is going to continue on. Now, obviously, we'll have to wait and see after this year. There's going to be some cap things that they're going to have to work through. Obviously, they're, likely going to lose some players. So we'll see how things go in the future, but I really like where they are right now. And for this season, I think it's going to be special. And I definitely think we have a chance to make it to and win the Super Bowl, man. So anyway, and real quick, one more thing. And if you saw my playoff predictor video and the path to playoffs video I did yesterday, look, man, there is still, I mean, it might be slim and it might be tough, but there is still a chance that we could end up, overtaking some of these top seeds, some of these opponents, the Ravens, and especially if we beat the Ravens towards the end of the season, and the Chiefs, if we end up having an overall record better than them, we could end up with the #1 seed. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but at the very least, I would expect us to have the #2 or 3 seed at the end of the season with at least 13 wins. So lots of good stuff coming, man. I'm really excited. I think Hard Knocks is going to be a fun behind-the-scenes look during this Dolphins journey the rest of the season, and I can't wait. Anyway, make sure you check out the video that I will likely be making immediately after this, which will be my preview video for this upcoming Jets game on Black Friday, the first one ever, and it'll be streaming on Prime, of course. So there you have it. Fins up, baby, and I will see y'all soon.
7 seconds left. Tannehill will throw it. And this will end it after the shuttle. Miami running around. Circling. Look out. Gronkowski. Did not mean it. Touchdown. Miraculous in Miami. Stills to Parker to Drake. And they held off the field. Unimaginable what has taken place here in South Florida. The Dolphins have done it. They keep their season alive. 69 yards. Wow. Pure joy. Miami wins it.